Okay, good morning friends. Today we are covering the third lecture of the subject Design and Analysis of Algorithm, and the topic is of Unit 1. In the previous two lectures we have discussed about algorithms, pseudocodes, why algorithm is considered a technology, and then we have started some concept of analysis of algorithms, and then we have discussed the insertion sort. In the previous lecture we have discussed about the insertion sort, and then we were doing the analysis of insertion sort. Now in this lecture we will cover the complete analysis of insertion sort. This lecture is we will be covering the analysis of insertion sort first of all, and then we will cover more topics. Okay. Now in the previous lecture we have discussed that while we are doing the analysis of algorithm, we basically do the analysis of algorithm, not of a program, because program is completely machine dependent, and due to its machine dependency sometimes the problem came is that if there is no network or if the processor is slow, then the speed depends upon those hardware resources. That's why we basically not do the analysis of program. We basically do the primary analysis, that is the analysis of algorithm is done. Okay. Now in the previous lecture we have discussed that when we calculate the running time of the algorithm, we basically do the analysis on the basis of number of primitive steps or the primitive operations are performed. To understand this concept, I am taking a simple example through which we will understand why we are not doing the analysis on the basis of program and also the primitive operations. Okay, let's say consider a simple program in C language. For example, we have written hash include file with stdio.h. Okay. Then I have written, for example, void main. Then let's say I want to print only two statements, and first is printf abc and printf def. Okay. Through this program we will try to understand what do you mean by primitive operations, why we are not doing the analysis of program, and why we are doing the analysis of algorithm. Okay, let's say if this is a program written in C language and we have to do the analysis of this program, then we will run this program on some computer. We will run this program on some computer, and the computer will be having a processor. Okay, and processor will execute instructions, some instructions per unit time. Okay. Now let's say if I say if the processor, let's say for taking a rough example, let's say if a processor is executing, for example, one instruction per minute. Let's taking a hard way that it is executing one instruction per minute, or it is understanding one instruction in 1 minute and then it is executing, then how much time this program will take? Then you can say that this instruction, these are basically the instruction, this instruction will be executed in 1 minute, this instruction will be executed in 1 minute, this will be in 1 minute, and this will be in 1 minute, and total time will be approximately or nearly 4 minutes. This is basically the exact analysis we are saying. But sometimes you will notice that the interpretation of each statement takes different time by the processor. But if we take the same time for executing, then we will say that roughly it is taking the 4 minutes of time. Okay, and it will print two printf statement. One is the ABC and other is the def. Now, if I change this program little bit, and let's say I use, for example, a for loop here. For example, I use a for loop here and write like this. For example, int I, okay, and then I write for I is equal to 0, I less than 5, I plus plus, and then internally I write, for example, printf ABC and printf def. Note that in the earlier program there was no for loop, hence these statements were executing only one time. That is, one time this statement was executed, then it was never executed. But now you see that when I have used the for loop here, then you notice that these two statements are completely dependent upon for loop. That means how many times this for loop is executed, that much time or that much times you can say these printf statement will be executing. Now if you see this for how many times this for loop will be executing, you will notice that this loop is starting from 0 and moving less than 5. That is, for loop will be executing for I is equal to 0, condition will be true, then for 1 it will be executing, then for 2 it will be executing, then for 3 and then for 4. You will notice that for 0, 1, 2 and 3 and 4 this condition will remain true, and hence these two statements will execute for these values of I. That is, for 0 this will be executed, for 1 these will be executed, for 2 these will be executed, for 3 these will be executed, and for 4 these will be executed. Now when I will again be incremented and I will become 5, at this case this condition will become false and the control will get out of the for loop and these two statements will not be executed for 5. Hence you notice that the number of times for loop is executing, you can subtract a value of 1, that is one less time these two statements are executing. That is, the number of times this for loop is executing, one less time these two statements will be executing. Here you will notice that for loop will be executing for 3 and 3 6 times, and you will notice that these will be executing for 5 times. That means if the value of I here is n, then for loop will be executing, for example, let's say n times. Let's say for n time, here it will be n plus 1 time, then these will be executing for n minus 1 times. That is, these statements are dependent upon for loop. Okay. So when this program will be executed, you will notice that if each instruction executed by the processor takes 1 minute of time, then you will notice that this instruction will be executed in 1 minute, this instruction will be executed in 1 minute and will be executed only one time. This instruction will be executed only one time, hence it will be executed in 1 minute of time. Now these two statements are dependent upon for loop. Hence we say that how many times these statements will be executed? These statements will depend upon for loop. Then how many times for loop is executed? You will notice that for loop is executing 6 times. Okay, for loop is executing 6 times, and hence these two statements we have seen that this will be executing 5 times, and this statement will be executing 5 times. Hence you will notice that total time will be, you will notice that in executing this statement for one time, the processor is taking 1 minute of time. Hence for executing 6 times, it will take time of 6 into 1, that is 6 minutes of time or 6 minutes. Similarly, this statement is executed by processor in 1 minute of time. I am taking that each instruction takes 1 minute of time. Then for 5 times it will take 5 into 1, that is 5 minutes of time, and for this it will take 5 minutes of time, and the total time will be 5 and 5 10 plus 16 17 18 19 minutes. That is, total time will be 19 minutes, and it's totally depend upon the speed of processor. Okay, if processor executes 2 instructions per second or per minute, then this time will reduce to half. Okay, that means it is totally depending upon processor. When we are executing the program, then it completely depends upon processor. But you will notice that the total number of instructions executed in each case, whether the processor is executing 1 instruction per minute or 2 instructions per minute, the total number of instructions are executed are same. But time is totally dependent upon the processor. That means if you are using P3 processor or P4 or i3 or 5, speed depends on processor. So we notice from here that in both of the case, as the number of instructions which are executing is same, it means the if you notice how many instructions are executed here, you will notice that one instruction is this, one instruction is this, one instruction is this, and this is basically one instruction but executed for 6 times. Hence it is converted to 6 instructions. This is basically one instruction, but due to for loop it is executed 5 times, and it is similar to 5 instructions and similarly 5 instructions. So you will notice that total there in this execution for this for loop and for this program, total number of instructions are basically 19 instructions. You will notice that whether the processor is slow or whether the processor is fast, total instructions which will be executing in 19. That is, overall performance is dependent upon these number of instructions. So while analyzing, we understand that as it is, when we are analyzing a particular program, it totally depends upon the speed of processor. Hence we ignore it. Sometimes if we are doing the networking problem and there is network error came, then the automatically delay will be there. Hence it overall depends upon the processor and compiler and many more things. Hence that's why we generally avoid the analysis of program, because it totally depends upon number of instructions. So while analyzing, we basically do the analysis of algorithm, and we basically counts how many instructions are in total executed in any program or in any algorithm. When we come to notice how many instructions are to be executed, then through the basis of these instructions we get a resemblance or get an idea how much time the algorithm will be taking approximately or roughly. That is, whether it is growing linearly or whether it is growing quadratically or logarithmically, that we understand. Also we know that processor takes different amount to understand these instructions. That is, but the time is basically constant time. So we take understand, if a programmer takes C as a constant and I as a ith number of instructions for executing, then we can say that it is basically a constant time to execute per instruction, and how many times we are executing that instruction. For example, we are executing this instruction for 6 times, then we can multiply this Ci by this and we get the overall result. I think the concept is clear why we are doing the analysis of algorithm. Now we understand how we will analyze this insertion sort. Now you notice that as this is the algorithm which we have discussed in the previous lecture, then I have told you that each instruction takes a constant time for its execution. Let's say that constant time I am denoting by C, and for ith instruction I denote it by Ci. That is, ith instruction takes Ci time, or Ci, you can say the cost or time is the same basically to execute. Then when we are doing the analysis of this algorithm, then we are using some parameters. One parameter I am taking as cost. Cost is basically time for execution of this instruction, and the other parameter is how many times this instruction is executed. Remember that the comment line are not executed in the program. Hence we can say, let's say this instruction is executed in Ci time. Note that is the we are saying that in executing this instruction, the time is basically a precious unit. As we say it as cost. That is, cost is basically, you can say, a time. That is, it is taking a C one time to execute for one time. That is, it is maybe, for example, 1 microsecond or 2 microseconds or nanoseconds. Similarly, the second instruction, let's say, take cost of C2. Third is the command, hence no time will be there. Fourth statement will be executing C4 time. Fifth will be executing in C5 time. Sixth will be executing in C6 time. And this will be executing in C7 time. And this will be executing in C8. Now, how many times each instruction will be executed? Now, we know that when we were considering the array like this, and let's say there are basically 5 elements, 7, 1, 2, 9, 4, and the index number is 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, then you have to that length of A denotes the total number of elements in the array. So here in this case length of A is 5. Hence for this statement you will see it will be executing from 2 to 5. That is, it will be executing for 2, for 3, for 4, for 5, and one time more this for loop will be executing for terminating out from the loop for beginning the condition false, and that will be for 6. We have understood. Then how many times it is executed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. That is, if the total length of array is 5, then this statement is executing 5 times. That is, if the length of the array is n, then this statement will be executing n times. That means this statement will be executing here n times roughly. Okay. Other than that, we know that how many times the for loop is executed. The internal statements inside the for loop are executing one less than that. Okay. So you will notice that this statement by default is executing one time, but depends upon the for loop. Hence, as for loop is executing n times, this statement will be executing n minus 1 times. Okay. Similarly, this is basically the command line which will be executing, you can say n minus 1 times, but the execution cost is 0. Similarly, this statement, if I talk about, by default it will be executing only one time, but due to for loop it will be executing total number of times n minus 1 times. Now come to the fifth statement. Now you will notice that the fifth statement is basically a while loop, and this while loop is dependent upon the value of I. That is, if any of the condition is looped in these two becomes false, we are getting out of the loop. Otherwise, when I, you know that for I you are knowing that when we are working any index number j, the previous values are basically I value, which we are moving from j minus 1 to 1. Okay. But this while loop is completely dependent upon the for loop. That is, if this for loop get terminated, this while loop will never be executed. But it is also depending upon, but how many times while loop will be executing depends totally on the value of I. So we can say, as this while loop is dependent upon the value of j also, and also on the value of I. That is, this j is telling that will the while loop will be executing or not, and this I is telling that how many times this while loop will be executing. That is, these two conditions are telling how many times this while loop will be executing. Let's say I define a variable t of j as you can say with the number of times the while loop in line number 5 is executed for that value of j. Then you can say this statement will be depending upon the value of j. For one value of j, for example, it will be executed 3 times, for another value it will be executed 4 times. In this way you understand, then we can say, you can define it like sigma for the value of j from 2. For the value of j from 2, you can understand like this. For the value of j from 2 to n, for each value of j, it is executing this much of times. That is, it is simply tj. In this we are defining. Just remember that for each value of, when value of j is 2, the control will come here, and it will be executing at most depending upon the value of I. That is, I am saying that for one value of j, it will be executing tj of times. That is due to this I value. As for example, if I say if the value of j is 4, then I will be 3, then 2 and then 1, and then 0 for terminating. That means it is executing 4 times for the value of j in worst case. Hence I am saying that the number of times it is executing for one value of j is denoted by tj. Tj is the number of times this while loop is executing depending upon the value of j. Similarly, the internal two statements are totally dependent upon while loop. If while loop is true, then these will be executing. If while loop is false, these two are not executing. They are not dependent upon this. So how much time this statement will be executing? One less time these will be executing. So their running time will be, you can say, the running time will be sigma j is equal to 2 to n tj minus 1, and this statement will also be sigma j is equal to 2 to n tj minus 1. Okay, and this statement will be executing only n minus 1 times. Okay, now through this we have understand that, or you can say we have understand that how many statements will be executed, how many statements will be executed. Okay, now to calculate the running time, you have understand that each statement time, execution time is C1, C2, C3, and number of times it is executed this time. Hence the total running time will be, we denote the total running time by T of n. We denote the total running time by T of n, where T stands for total running time and n is the total input size. For example, if in the array there are 5 elements, then the value of n will be 5, and the total running time will now become, multiply these cost by times, it will be C1 of n plus C2 of n minus 1 plus 0 multiplied by this will give you 0, and C4 of n minus 1 plus C5 of sigma of j is equal to 2 to n tj plus C6 sigma j is equal to 2 to n tj minus 1 plus C7 sigma j is equal to 2 to n tj minus 1, and the last is C8 n minus 1. This is a equation. This is the equation which we have got here, and this equation basically tells that you can say that what is basically the total running time in terms of this. Now we have got the equation, and we have substituted the value of these terms here, which are summation values, and we will get the running time of the insertion sort. Now, one thing to remember that when we analyze any sorting algorithm, then we can calculate 3 types of running time. First is the best case situation, when we have to sort the elements and the array is already sorted. Then the time will be minimum. So first case, you can say that you are applying insertion sort for sorting the elements of the array, and the array is already sorted, given to you in sorted order. Then the time will be minimum. The other case will be that you have to sort the complete array and in ascending order, and the array is given in reverse sorted order. In that case, the time will be maximum time, and the third case will be in between those two cases. Hence, we can say that the running time of insertion sort totally depends upon best case situation, worst case situation, and average case situation. And here we will analyze the best case and worst case. And for that, we will understand how these running times of 5th, 6th, and 7th statement will be executed. Okay. And through this, we will get an equation which will tell us that what is the running time in best case and what is the running time in worst case. Okay. Now, to understand the best case, let's say I consider a simple array with 4 elements. Let's say there is an array with 4 elements. Okay, and the elements are, for example, best case means the array is already sorted order. That is, the elements are 4, 6, 11, and 13, and the index number is 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now see, now we will try to understand how these 5th, 6th, and 7th, that is while loop, how these while loop will be executed depending upon this for loop, to understand the concept. Okay, to understand this, just I am writing there. Notice that I am writing that initially we will take the value of j. On the basis of value of j, we are taking the value of pi, and here I am writing how many times the while loop will be executed. While loop is such that I is greater than 0 and ai is greater than key. Okay. Now, you notice that initially the value of j will be 2. Initially the value of j will be 2. That is, we are sorting this element. Okay. Then in the key we move the array jth element. That is, in the key we will get 6. Okay. I basically want to calculate this result in worst case, this result in best case, and this result in best case. Okay. Now through fourth statement, the value of I is decreased by 1. That is, I will become 2 minus 1, 1. I is dependent upon j, j minus 1. J is 2, 2 minus 1, it will provide you 1. Okay. Now see, for the value of j, when we have taken 2, how many times this value will be executed? And we know that how many times this value will be executed? One less time these two statements will be executed. So I am checking only for while loop. Okay. Now see, the value of I is 1. Check. Is I, just I have written here, just check. Is 1 greater than 0? Condition true. As we are moving in this statement, that is, this statement is executing, and 1 is greater than 0, condition is true. And if a of 1 is 4, is 4 greater than key value, is 4 greater than 6, condition is false. This condition is becoming false, but this statement is executed one time. Due to this, the condition is becoming false. You notice that. But to check this condition, this while loop is to be executed. Hence, we say that this statement is executed only one time. That is, for this statement is executed one time, and this condition becomes false. Hence, these two statements will not be executed. Okay. That is, sixth and seventh statement you will talk about. Then sixth and seventh here will not be executed. Okay. Now, after working of eighth statement, the control will move again here. Then the value of j will be increased to 3. That is, now j will point to this. That is, the key value will be 11. Again, the value of I is decremented by 1 through the algorithm. I will become 2. Now check, is 2 greater than 0? Condition true. And check if the second index value of array A, it is 6, is greater than 11, condition becomes false. But this statement is executed one time, and these will not be executed. Similarly, for 4, you will notice that it will be executed for I is equal to 3, but none other times. That means, in best case, you will notice that for each value of j, this statement is executing only one time. That is, for each value of j, this statement is executing one time. Hence, 6th and 7th statement are not executing. So, what will be the result of this statement? Now you will notice that the statement here is j sigma j is equal to 2 to n and tj. Then this when you solve, it means that for each value of j, how many times the statement is executing? For value of 2, it is executing one time. For value of 3, it is executing one time. For value of 4, it is executing one time. And how many times this will be executing? As this loop is moving from 2 to n, that is, the value of j is totally moving working for n minus 1 times, from 2 to n, that is n minus 1 times. When from 1 to n, it is total n, it is n minus 1 times, and this statement is executing n minus 1 times. Hence, the total sum will be n minus 1. That is, in best case situation, this statement will be executing n minus 1 times, and 6th and 7th statement will not be executing. Hence, in best case, the running time of this equation will be, I am writing here, in best case, the equation will become T of n will be equal to C1 of n plus C2 of n minus 1 plus C4 of n minus 1 plus C5 of, and the result of this is n minus 1, and 6th and 7th are not executed. Hence, this value is 0 and this value is 0, so total is 0, and last statement is C8 of n minus 1. Now, when you will solve this equation, the overall equation will become like, C1 plus C2 plus C4 plus C5 plus C8 of n minus, you can say it will be C2 plus C4 plus C5 plus C8. Now from this you will try to understand it as these are basically constant, and constants are basically how much time this instruction is how much time the processor takes to execute this instruction, and which is very small time. Hence, if we check these constants, the total sum, let's say, is A, and if this total sum is B, including minus sign, hence this equation will become AN plus B, where A and B are constant. It means that in best case, the running time of insertion sort is of linear order. That is, in best case, the running time of insertion sort is moved to the linear order. Okay. Now in what will be the analysis in the case of worst case? Okay. Now, if we talk about the worst case analysis, just try to understand it. If we talk about worst case analysis, okay. If we talk about worst case analysis, what will be its running time? Okay. What will be its running time in case of worst case? Worst case means when we have to sort the elements in ascending order and the elements are given in descending order. That is, let's say if in this array the elements are like this. Let's say here is 13, here is 11, here is 6, and here is 4. Then how many times these statements will be executed? And just notice that I am that is while loop is basically the statement number 5, then the statement number 6 and the statement number 7. Okay, just notice it. Try to understand through this key how we are calculating the value of this, and this. Okay. Now, initially the value of j will be 2. When the value of j will be 2, I will become 1. When I will become 1, it will check the while loop, and the key value is basically is here 11. Now it will check. Is 1 greater than 0? Condition true. And if the first, if the value at the index number 1, that is 13, is greater than 11, yes, 13 is greater than 11, this condition becomes true. As this condition becomes true, hence while loop will be executed. As both conditions are true, it means while loop is executed. Hence, as both conditions are true, that means these two statements will also get executed. And when these two statements get executed, the 13 will come here and this position will become empty, and again control will move to the while loop. When again move to the control to while loop, before moving, the value of I is incremented by 1 and I will become 0. As I will become 0, when control move, is 0 greater than 0, this condition becomes false, hence the control will come out of the while loop. But this statement has been executed, it is this statement got executed, and this will not be executed. That means you notice that when the value of j is 2, then the while loop is executing 2 times. For a single value of j, that is for the value of j2, this statement is executing 2 times, and these statements are executing 1 times. Similarly, when you this process for j is equal to 3, then I will become 2, then 1, and then 0. Hence, it will be executing 3 times, and these will be executing only 2 times. Similarly, for 4, then you will notice that when the just try by yourself and you will get the result. Then you will notice from here that for the value of j, when the value of j is 2, then the while loop are executed 2 times. When the value of j is 3, then while loop are executed 3 times. When the value of j is 4, then it will be executing 4 times, and the value of j is n, it will be executing n times. Hence, what will be the result of this statement? If you calculate it, it will now become, in the worst case, what it will be value, you will check it, The fifth statement result will be like this. When you calculate this, it will be sigma j is equal to 2 to n t of j. This will be equal to, for each value of j, when j is 2, it is executing 2 times. When j is 3, it is executing 3. When it is n, it is executing n times. When you solve it by adding 1 and minus 1, the overall result which you will get is simply n n plus 1 divided by 2 minus 1. This is the result which we will get by this statement. Similarly, this 6 and 7 statement are basically same. The times is same. Hence, for one value it will be sigma of j is equal to 2 to n tj minus 1. Tj is basically 2 to 2 minus 1 is 1 plus 2 plus 3 up to n minus 1. Then just adding n and subtracting n, and when you will solve it, you will solve it and you will get the result n minus 1 divided by 2. Okay, that is, in place of this we will replace it by this, and we will replace this by this in worst case. And when we replace these, then the equation, when we will put these result in this equation, then in worst case this will be this will be the same, this will be the same. Here you will put the value this, here you will put the value this, here you will put the value this and this, and hence in worst case the equation will come something like that. Pn will be equal to, you will get some constant in terms of there, plus some constant here in terms of n, plus some constant here. That is something you will notice that it is C5 by 2 and C6 by something, and hence when we solve this constant, it will be simply an square plus bn plus c. Okay. Now you will notice that from these two equations, you what I am trying to say there, this first of all understand that the analysis which we have done here, is a complete analysis and the exact analysis which I have shown here. And this analysis tells that when we are doing the analysis of insertion sort, in best case its running time is of linear order, and in worst case its running time is of order a quadratic equation running time. That is, the running time of insertion sort moves between linear running time and quadratic running time. That is, it is not less than linear running time and not greater than quadratic running time. This is basically known as the analysis, and through this we get a result which tells us to understand that how the algorithms work and how is the performance of the algorithm. Now one thing we just noticed that we will come to this topic again. Till now, just remember that the running time of insertion sort in when we denote it by asymptotic notation, just remember that when we say that the running time of insertion sort is in worst case is order of an square plus bn plus c, it means that its running time is basically theta. Theta is basically a notation, asymptotic notation which we are using, and it is theta of n square. Similarly, when we are saying that the running time in best case is this, then it is denoted by theta of n. And we will understand this topic in detail when we will study the topic of asymptotic notation. For the meanwhile, just remember that when we are analyzing an algorithm, we basically focus on the worst case running time of algorithm. The reason is that the worst case running time of an algorithm is an upper bound on the running time for any input. That is, it basically tells that in worst situation, what is the maximum growth rate or what is the maximum running time an algorithm is having. That is, the running time on a given input size will not go beyond that time. It will be up to that time or below that time. For example, I am saying that to solve this question, I will take a maximum of 1 hour. That is, it is the maximum time. The time will be up to 1 hour or below this hour, but it will not go above 1 hour. This is basically the worst case scenario. That's why we basically do the worst case analysis mainly, and we avoid to the best case analysis, because best case analysis comes under the worst case, you can say, and it is given the best time. Average case is simply in most of the problem it is nearly equal to the worst case running time. Okay. From this we have understand that why we are basically doing the worst case analysis of the algorithm, because it provides the maximum time which an algorithm takes for its working. Okay. Just try to understand that this is the first and the very first algorithm in which I have made you to understand that how we are calculating, how we are analyzing the algorithm, how we are calculating the running time, and how we are designing the equations, and then how we are analyzing its best case and worst case running time. For till now, just remember that the best case running time of insertion sort I told is order of theta of n, and the worst case running time of insertion sort is order of n square. Okay. One thing from this comes is known as the order of growth. From here, the topic which is coming is known as the order of growth. Just note it that in case of insertion sort, the best case equation we got is an plus b, and the worst case equation, note that the equations will be comes to be an square plus bn plus c. That is in best situation when the array was already sorted, and when worst case when the array was reverse sorted. It means what they were telling that this equation, you note that it is basically a linear equation, and if you notice this equation, this is basically a quadratic equation. Okay. Just remember that these equations are basically telling about the order of growth of any algorithm. Order of growth is basically how the algorithm is growing, whether it is growing linearly, whether it is growing quadratically, whether it is growing logarithmically, is known as the order of growth. And in the order of growth, what we are trying to do, we are ignoring these constants a, b and c. We are ignoring these constants a, b and c because these constants are very small value compared to the value of n. For example, if we take the value of n as 1 million or 10 million or 1 billion or 10 billion, in that case these are basically small terms. And also if we take the value of n very large, then this square term will be dominating these two terms. If you consider this equation, this is basically why we are saying that this is a quadratic equation. We are saying it is a quadratic equation because the factor of n square is dominating the linear term. As this factor is dominating the linear terms, hence their impact is negligible, hence we remove this. Similarly, this constant is also having a negligible effect because this constant will not change this quadratic term to cubic term or linear term, hence these are negligible and we will remove these terms. Hence we say that the order of growth, that is the running time of insertion sort in worst case, is of order n square, that is it is growing quadratically. In this way we are basically doing the order of growth. Just remember that in order of growth what we are saying that we neglect those terms whose impact is negligible in the equation. And we notice that we have mathematically studied that when we consider any quadratic equation, then the effect of linear terms and constant terms are negligible. Hence we can remove these terms from the equation. Because if their impact was more than the quadratic, then the equation will be linear. But here their impact is negligible, hence we are removing these terms. And also for large value of n, this constant impact is negligible. Hence we are removing these terms, and we see that the running time of insertion sort in worst case is the order n square, and similarly the running time of insertion sort in best case is of order n, and we denote it by as theta of n square, which we will study afterwards in the next lecture, and this is denoted by theta of n. Okay. The study of this, or in this subject if we talk about, we basically deal with this order of growth. Basically we are saying that how the algorithms are growing, and we compare different algorithms on their growth rate, and we say that which algorithm is executing faster and which algorithm is executing slower. For example, you notice that in the previous lecture I have told you that the running time of insertion sort in worst case is of order of n square, and the merge sort was C2n log n. And from this I told that the performance of merge sort was better compared to insertion sort on large input. Why this is so? Because you notice there, here it is basically a coadditive, that is n is multiplied by n, and here n is multiplied by log n. Constants are basically small terms. Okay, we can remove that. So you will notice that the growth rate of n is higher than the growth rate of log n. As we have used log here, the value becomes smaller, and the growth rate of n is thus higher than this. Hence, this multiplication factor will increase this value compared to this multiplicative factor. Hence, we say that the growth rate of merge sort is smaller than insertion sort. That is, the performance of merge sort is better compared to insertion sort. Or you can say the running time of merge sort is smaller than the running time of insertion sort. In this way, in the next lecture, we will discuss about asymptotic notations. Thank you.